What's up, guys? It's Ian here, back today with another video. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, it's really cold, so I'm wearing the sweater today. Weather says it's 56, but it feels colder. There's no sun, and it's very smoky. Anyways, let's get into it. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about what got me into training people and exercise in the first place. This is one of the most common questions I get asked in person, so I figured I should make a video about it, addressing it, just so you can all reference this video and learn a little bit about me and what got me started training. So let's start with my history of activity. As a kid, you could mostly describe what my exercise was as just playing or physical activity, just running around, hanging out with friends, maybe riding the bike, training at martial arts, different types of exercise like that. As I got a bit older and got into high school, I started getting into bicycle racing. So I did some mountain bike racing as well as road bike racing. As I got a little bit older, I continued road bike racing a bit into college as well, competing in a few collegiate road bike races. I was never too serious about it, and over time I just wasn't too happy with my physical appearance with cycling. I wanted to gain more weight and muscle and get stronger. I'd say also throughout high school, backtracking a bit, I did get into lifting weights, but it was never like a regimented program or training plan. So although I could say that I started lifting weights in high school, I was never really consistent in focusing on progression and doing it in a very regimented fashion. Getting into college, I spent a good amount of time at the weight room. A large amount of time was not as efficient as it could have been, but I made some good friends in the weight room. Some of the strength and conditioning staff, they saw me there a lot, and I would always talk to them and ask them questions. I would ask them a lot of questions, actually, potentially annoying some of them. But I would ask them a lot of questions about, how did they train the different athletes, and how did the training programs of all different athletes vary from person to person. So they gave me a lot of good advice. They taught me some of the different lifts, and I ended up majoring in kinesiology just because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to study. I went into college undeclared. My major was undeclared, and then I ended up talking to a lot of the different strength and conditioning staff, learning more and more about training, and deciding that I really did enjoy it. It was something that I enjoyed and I wanted to pursue further. So I ended up majoring in kinesiology. So that's a bit of my history. After college, I ended up living in my college town for about a year. Couldn't find any jobs that I really enjoyed up there. So I ended up moving back to the Bay Area and getting a job as a personal trainer. I worked in the commercial gym setting for about 2 years, a little over 2 years, and then I stopped for a while. I worked at a retirement home for about 6 or 7 months, and then about 6 months, and then after that, I got a job as a fitness manager at another commercial gym. So I'm still working in the commercial gym setting. Been furloughed due to COVID, but I'm optimistic that when the gyms reopen that I'll continue working there. Those are my current plans. Anyways. Alright, so that's a bit of history. I've been in the commercial gym industry for a little over 3 years at this point, so you could say I've trained hundreds of people, maybe even over 1,000, between all the different, complimentary sessions I've given out, all the consultations, and, definitely dozens of longer term clients as well. All right, so that's a bit of the background and where I am now. At some point over the past few years, I also trained a bit at boxing. I personally attended a boxing gym in Oakland. I was very motivated watching a lot of professional boxers and see their careers and transformation. All the most famous ones like, Floyd and Canelo, all those, really famous boxers that you all know of probably. I really did want to do it at some point when I was younger, but then, through enough sparring and just getting punched, I kind of realized it wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy it to the level that you would have to really take it all the way. So I've tried out a couple different sports such as cycling, boxing, but after all that, I kind of realized that those things weren't really for me. I focus more on powerlifting, bodybuilding, calisthenics style training. So just focusing more on longevity, building muscle. It's really cold out here. Sorry, I'm kind of shivering a bit. But anyways, I will try to finish out this video. So yeah, that's most of my history throughout what caused me to study kinesiology, what did my exercise look like when I first started, and how has my exercise style transformed over time. So it's transformed from cycling and weight training to boxing and back to more just weight training and body weight exercise. So I've never been like very physically strong. I've always I guess lacked in strength, you could say, compared to the average person. I like to talk about how there's really a response spectrum. So in terms of training, if we took 100 people or 1,000 people, gave them all the same training program, some people are just naturally high responders. There are factors that you can standardize, such as rest and nutrition. Would be hard to standardize some of those factors, but essentially, I've always, I think, been on the lower end of the response rate of spectrum of response to training. So I've never been a very robust responder to training, and I've always been interested in studying training and figuring out what can you do to really improve your response to training, right? So I've always been pretty lean, but I've never been very strong. I've always kind of lacked strength. So I've always wanted to help others gain fitness. That's kind of why I enjoy personal training. I've trained a lot of different people, and I've helped many people get much stronger than myself. I've helped people achieve a level of strength that I feel like they're happy with. And part of the reason that I've stayed in the fitness industry for so long is I feel like it's rewarding to show people what they can achieve and help them overcome barriers. A lot of people have, I would say, perceived barriers to entry in the fitness industry, or just fitness in general. A lot of people they associate a high threat level with weight training and resistance training. They're like, okay, I could start to do this. They weigh the pros and cons, and then they're like, but what if I get hurt, right? What if I get injured? I would say risk of injury with resistance training in all of its various forms, it has a lower injury rate per 1,000 participation hours than almost every single field sport that is played with other individuals, right? So resistance training or just weight training in the weight room, it has a lower injury rate than things like, soccer, American football, basketball, probably even baseball. Really any field sport where you're running and changing directions is going to have a higher injury rate per 1,000 hours spent than resistance training in the weight room. So, I just want to eliminate some of that fear. It has a non-zero risk of injury, but so does walking around. I mean, if you want to be completely sedentary, that has risk of health repercussions as well. So anyways, part of what has really motivated me is showing people what they can achieve, helping them overcome barriers, get stronger than they may have thought that they could have, achieve levels of fitness that they were potentially unaware that they could have achieved, helping people achieve more than they thought they could and become a better version of themselves, educate them a bit about, training response, the response spectrum to training, the fact that you are somewhat resilient, very resilient to injury, and through a proper training program, you can increase your resistance to injury. So you can become stronger and more resilient, improve your fitness, and really do a lot of things that you may have never thought you could have. So yeah, hopefully this video was somewhat informative, giving you a bit of background of my own exercise history and what got me into personal training in the first place. I'm like shivering pretty severely. I'm not sure if it's like due to smoke and ash inhalation or just that it's really cold and colder than I've been used to acutely. Yeah. Anyways, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you get notified whenever I post a new video. Consider sharing this with your friends if you want to. And, once again, thank you to all of our first responders and firefighters out here helping to curb the spread of these fires. And thank you for watching. Have a great day. More videos coming soon.